I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kevin McGovern is absent, he's on vacation. Dan Patterson.
Here.
Cal Ellis.
Here.
Frank Clark.
Here.
Ray Morrissey is absent, he had an emergency job work to do.
Okay, up next is public comment. We have 5 people signed up. First one is Bill Nirvana, the veteran. Is that
Yeah.
what you say, Bill? Okay, you're first.
Close enough.
We've got 5 people, Bill, so we're gonna have to keep it to the 3-minute time limit.
We'll take that one. I have a letter written to the town council concerning Gardner Road. I'm writing today in opposition to the reclosing of the recently reopened section of Gardner Road that we share with the town of Richmond. The section of road in question has been a right-of-way since the 1800s and should never have been closed to begin with. But here we are. For one reason or another, public safety vehicles, fire, rescue, and police have found themselves on the wrong side of the brake no fewer than 4 times in the past 18 months. The lives of 3 residents, 2 of whom are residents of our town, were affected. If not for the actions of a concerned neighbor, the results would have been catastrophic. My opinion was that the opening of the road was a no-brainer. Public safety was living on borrowed time, working around the block section of Gardner Road. With the road open to vehicular traffic, public safety vehicles would have a more direct route to those calling for their emergency services. School buses would have a shorter and more direct route to transport school children, and fewer children would be required to walk on the streets during inclement weather. I realize that a few residents see themselves as now being harmed by the decision to open Gardner Road, but I fail to see this harm as irreparable. The benefit to the residents far outweighs the fact that a few residents can now be subject to some traffic passing by my house. And I sent that from the Exeter Fire District. Thank you for your time.
Next up is it Tom Wojcik?
Yep. Question, no comment. Is the south end of Camelot gonna be gated?
We're not allowed to answer during public comment.
Okay, and number 2,
But it is on the agenda, so it's the last item under
and number
business.
2, there needs to be a stop sign re-put back up heading south at Hart House and Gardner, which was there in the past, in front of Andrew's house, pretty much, and at the north end of Camelot at Gardner, heading north. Thank you.
David Chamberlain?
Yes, my only comments are I'm the representative of Fire Chief of Exeter 1. I've done time trials from Station 1, which is down by the Exeter Country Club, Station 4 with apparatus. It's cut my time 40% with the new access road open. Okay? And in all honesty, I'm making a statement that I'm against the gate, because the time we're saving and the travel time we're responding, now getting out, if there has to be a proposal of a gate. But my only other thing is, we're not only saving for the town of Exeter, we're saving minutes that matters for life. The other thing is too, we are on the run cards for Richmond and South Kingston for apparatus responding. It's a non-hydrogen area. They'd be calling us automatically if there's a structure fire. So this new access road benefits not only the town people of Exeter and the immediate people in the area, it benefits us for responding to mutual aid calls to Carolina Richmond Fire Department and Union Fire District.
Next is Paula Hartman.
Apparently I'm going to be the only person here, well, some people that didn't speak, that are against, the road going through. I've always been against the road going through. As long as I've lived there for 20 years, it's been wooded. I know that you guys took it upon yourselves, and I do have land in Exeter, so I pay taxes to this town. And you know what? There's not that many kids that actually walk that street as far as to and from the school, their bus stop. Their parents bring them to the end of the road. They see it every day. I think that you're increasing the traffic across that road between Walloon And as soon as the college students figure out that there's a new way to get to URI, it's going to become even more dangerous. I think that by opening it, I get the whole safety feature, the making sure that ambulances or fire trucks need to be through, but I would prefer a gate in place, because I think that the traffic flow is going to impede my life quality. And I know that there are people who think that, you know, by putting up a gate, it's gonna, what would it take to open a gate? You know, maybe 2 minutes, if that. If it's saving him 40 minutes already from going all the way around, what is 2 more minutes? You know, where I know that when my son at 10 o'clock at night before he goes to bed walks my dogs, isn't gonna get plowed over by somebody leaving Wallaloon or wherever else, going to URI. You know, we have a nice quiet street. There are plenty of people that live on James Trail that walk their dogs. And I know that's a different town than you, but I can't tell you the number of people that come off of James Trail to walk down Gardner Road because it is a more peaceful environment and there's not the high-speed traffic that by opening it up and not having a gate is going to create on that road. It truly is. Okay, Adrian?
Last one, Andrew Slater. I live on the corner of Gardner and High House. How closely be? I've lived there 23 years and the road was open when I was originally there. Richmond has shut down the road without asking concession from Exeter at all. It also, obviously, it's fire safety end of it. We already had a situation when a gentleman did some saw damage to his arm. That's how we got here today, to open the road because of the confusion of getting it. I think Stefan's gonna speak about some gate problems that we had on the other side of town by one of the towers and the time it took to get in the gate because of it being locked. Gate is an inappropriate thing. As also, as a taxpayer, the bus is going around. So one of the concerns in the past was the traffic going through the area of South Kingston in a tight area. We're gonna send our school children through South Kingston in an area that's gonna be dangerous during the winter hours. It's inappropriate when we have the option of having a road. And the cost of the school bus going around is approximately, last time I checked, was like $30-something thousand. Everybody wants to say that we suck back in the budget. That's something that should be checked into another way. But the fact of the matter is we'd save that $30,000. And then my next door neighbor is George and Eileen Cudlack. They spoke last night of how it saves them 2 miles on their trip to go to the gym. They are taxpayers also like everybody else. That road is a road of record and has been a road of record. And so to shut it down is inappropriate.
Okay, number 4, acknowledgements and announcements. The transfer station stickers in privilege period, September 1st, 2017 through August 31st, 2018, are now available for purchase at the town clerk's office, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday, September 9th, Sunday, September 10th, and Saturday, September 16th, 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Next up, approval of the agenda order. Need a motion?
Well, I would move to approve, but I do have a concern. I think there are a number of people here who want to speak to Gardner Road. I know it's at the end of new business. My suggestion would be that we move that item to the top of the new business. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Let's see, discussion. I had asked to have it put at the end, so whip right through this other stuff, and then, like, maybe that would be taking most of our time starting the road, so.
So you don't like the idea?
No.
I don't think I
I'm not sure what happens if, and maybe Frank will reconsider, but if you want to call it, I'm sorry.
Nobody seconded.
Oh, they didn't, oh. I thought
Somebody
you
did second it.
Frank seconded the
I didn't
motion.
hear, I'm sorry.
They might change his mind. We'll see what happens.
Well, I wasn't aware of the president's concern about getting through certain issues earlier.
Yeah, that's why I don't have to be for part of it, Opposed, nay.
No, you can say that. I'm not sure where we're at.
We have mayor and I.
Yeah, there's 3, so you need 2. You need 2 votes in the affirmative, And the motion is to change the agenda.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Right, so
Was that an aye or a nay, Frank?
that was an aye.
Oh, okay, all right, so we'll move that to the beginning. I will go to
Sorry.
the- Okay, consent agenda. Anybody need to pull? We got the, any reports to pull? There were some vouchers from Reynolds Charitable Trust.
There was one with communication on the 16th.
Any communications you want to pull, Cal?
Please, and a couple of them we're gonna be addressing because they have to do with appointments, but the ones that I would like to see off the communications list are 1, 4, 14, 15, and 26.
26. Frank, you get a little pull?
None this evening, Mr. President.
You have 14 and 15. All set there. Anybody pull the minutes, meeting dates? Yeah, okay.
Oh, yes.
All right, any motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vacancies and appointments, personnel board members,
No?
none. Conservation Commission, none. Economic Development Commission, none. Be posted, I guess, right? Be posted on the town webpage. Next up is resignations, and when I saw it, I was a little shocked. We lost Holly Duffy, our animal shelter attendant, who took a job with the Rhode Island DEM. So I guess we need a motion to post that.
Accept the resignation.
I'll move to accept her resignation with regret.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. And now we need a motion to post.
I will move that we post that position.
Second.
Second, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Next up is appointments, juvenile hearing board member, unexpired term ending March 2019, beginning date of appointment.
They have interviewed the one applicant, but they're waiting for her to return her confidentiality. So they'll, it's the recommendation we should receive that.
We'll continue that. Zoning board review member, term expiring August 2017, was that Tom?
It is.
Okay.
I move to reappoint Tom McMillan to that position on the zoning board. And thank him for submitting the letter, and thank him for serving.
That was the only letter we received, I believe.
I beg your
I
pardon.
think that was the only letter we
No,
received.
that's correct. Thank you, Tom.
Second?
Oh, second, I apologize.
Okay.
No.
Any discussion?
Three of them, right?
Any discussion?
Just thanks, Tom.
Done. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, Reynolds Charitable Trust Committee member, term expiring July 2017. I believe that was Paul Ward. Okay. Paul had sent in a letter. So,
I'll move to reappoint Paul Ward. He's
second?
been served so admirably as chair for quite some time. I appreciate his coming forward.
Got a second first?
Oh, I think that you seconded it.
Oh, okay, all right. Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 4, Reynolds Charitable Trust Committee member, term expiring July 2017.
These two are me, Barrett, and Bob Anderson, who haven't received their letters. Well, contacted Paul.
He hasn't heard anything?
No,
So
he hasn't.
do you want to continue to post? Okay, that's for number 4 and number 5? Okay, we'll continue to post 4 and 5. Expiring terms, any other ones?
That's good.
Okay, number 8, public hearings. Proposed amendments to Exeter Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Building and Building Regulations, Article, is that Article 9? Article 4, sorry, impact fees. Need a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll move to open the public hearing on that item.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, who's up, Karen Maria?
You have the proposal in front of you, and it's just the formatted versions, the underlined is new, the strikes are equal, deleted. Yeah, so you can get rid of
Yes,
that
oh,
one.
I know, this was really good, this is good.
Yeah, so this is, just a revision to the ordinance until we get our new, study completed in, ordinance revised.
Yeah, it appears that there've been some language changes that clarify and, you know, just seem to make it more appropriate to what needs to be done. And for the work that, did Maria work on this with you?
Jim.
Jim, well, for those of you that worked on this, I appreciate it, because in reviewing it, I see that some eyes took some close look at it, and I think that's a good thing. Is this the, book here? It appears that
No one signed up to speak for or against.
it's all a good thing, folks, it's all a good thing, don't worry.
We're cleaning it up and getting it rewritten because it's obsolete, so.
Well, it's not as obsolete now that we've modified it, correct?
Was.
Correct. Thanks, Maria, for your concern, everybody.
Any questions from the audience? Concerns? Any questions from the council?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, so now we need to have a vote to approve the proposed
Vote to
amendments.
close.
Vote to close, I'm sorry, to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now I need another motion.
I move to approve the proposed amendments to the Exeter Code of Ordinances relating to impact fees. It's in chapter 14, it's article 4.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business. Under new business, we're gonna move I, Gardner Road, to the beginning. We've got a quote for a gate here. Which, my feeling is right now, we've heard from some people in the audience that we're missing 2 council members, something like this, I would feel more comfortable with all 5 council members sitting here.
Can
We
we,
agree.
No.
well, can we, as long as we can.
I think we should still discuss it.
Yeah, can we talk about it, please?
Yeah, I know, Stefan, did you have something up here on the screen about Gardner Road?
I did, I wasn't sure if there were more comments that needed to come first from the other governing agency, because the fire district now is represented, before I put this up. It's entirely up to the council how they want to handle it.
Yeah, you might as well, because like I said, my feeling is wait till Kevin Montgomery and Ray Morris are here, because Kevin wasn't here last month either when it was addressed.
Mr. President, I just want to caution everybody that if the matter is continued to the next meeting, anything that somebody says today needs to be resaid
At the next meeting.
at the next meeting, when the council sits as a whole and actually hears it. So if there are any comments tonight, they're basically gratuitous until, if the council's wish is to actually continue our meeting and the hearing until then.
But that being said, I don't think there's anything wrong with us discussing, as long as there.
No, but you really should vote one way or the other as to whether or not you're gonna actually continue the hearing until, because then what is said tonight is clearly not a part of the hearing. It may just simply be a discussion, a prefatory to it, but anything that is said that people want on the record for the council, when the council considers it, has to be said again at the next meeting.
But, excuse me, but this is not the hearing piece, this is on the road, this is just the issue of Gardner Road, there are 2 pieces on the agenda.
That's fine, I'm sorry, Cal, I just wanted to make everybody
No,
certain so that if they left here tonight thinking, okay, I said everything on the record that I want to say.
Got it.
Okay, that's all, I'm sorry if I know anything.
All yours, Stefan.
No problem. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the emergency management director for the town. I started my tenure in September of 2010. Our first big emergency, because we had kind of a lighter winter was in fact Tropical Storm Irene. Following the floods, that actually had occurred during the spring prior to my tenure coming in when Scott Cattell was the director. One of the biggest concerns that had happened that we had discussed as an emergency management group involving all the directors, so each of the 39 communities in the town has their own separate director. And their overall concern is not only to look at the emergency services, but town government, and then most of all, the concerns for the taxpayers. Our biggest issue that they had during the floods and what also that occurred during Tropical Storm Irene was accessibility. First, access to those people south of the break on Gardner Road. And second, which wouldn't normally be of concern to an Exeter emergency manager other than the fact that the Richmond emergency management director wanted to establish agreements with us of response due to the fact that because of down power lines and trees, that Camelot Estates was actually cut off from all emergency services from both towns due to accessibility. That was a very minor issue in the sense that we tried to put as many resources to bear up in that area. And the area in question, as it's marked here in the satellite photo first, what we're seeing in the red circles to the south, or the lower sections, are the Exeter, Richmond fire departments that are closest to that section. The primary fire station that Chief Chamberlain had just been mentioned is over here on Mail Road and South County Trail, which is the primary fire truck coming up to that location. As it stands right now, and the chief again had alluded to the fact that there would be automatic aid, which meant that if there's a call in an area, we would either respond immediately or, in addition to our response, have trucks coming from other communities. That would be standard, but it's also prevalent to remind everyone in the audience that with the exception of rescue, all of our fire departments are volunteer. So any of the times that I give or represent right now, or as the chief had said, and it wasn't 40 minutes, I wanted to correct that, it was 40%. 40%, and it's important because I want to go off of factual information. In speaking with residents along those roads, and unfortunately, I apologize, I didn't have the opportunity to speak to either one of you. On both sides of the road, I've heard some stories, I got some yarns, I've heard about goat trails, I've heard about just about everything regarding that road. And living in East Greenwich, I don't understand a lot of the swampy Yankee terminology, but I get it and I understand it. But the two things that did stick out in my mind from the stories, or I guess it would be allegations, were that A, the road was open at one point in time, at some point in time, and B, that at some point in time that there was actual stone wall that separated the communities, which was that I can't find or I don't see anywhere along that road, and nothing that had been interrupted during the reconstruction phase of this particular project. During Tropical Storm Irene, we had residents from Gardner Road that actually came up here that caused a response by the Rhode Island State Police because they were quite angry that they were the forgotten part of Exeter. They felt as though they were only getting their information from Richmond and nobody from Exeter was involved, and there was quite an altercation that was out here that had occurred as a result of it. So I made it my mission from that point to begin doing the studying to find out what it would take for us to get to this point. Now, I can dazzle you with these pictures. I can show you how things are being responded up here, but quite from and I want to thank Ms. Hartman for bringing up that point. She understands the fire response. She understands the rescue response. Law enforcement was left out of this issue. The state police and, Justice State Police have indicated that they know that their response times will be increased coming up to this area. But keeping in mind from an emergency medical service standpoint, that's our rescue. by increasing our response by 2 minutes into any location, those are life-saving minutes. And we could clearly show, especially their travel time for this rescue here on Ten Rod Road, from 669 Ten Rod, that by reducing the fact of having to go through Glen Rock, come up through James Trail, and again, it was mentioned, we actually have to leave our town, go through somebody else's town, to come back into our town in order to provide service. And we still are the closest emergency medical service to that area. By reducing that, those are life-saving minutes. And then also keeping in mind, and the chief was very conservative with his estimates, plus or 5, I was able to prove a 30% increase in our response. Fire doubles every 30 seconds, and 2 minutes means that the risk would have been reduced fourfold. Am I allowed to take questions from the audience regarding this? Please.
I'm just wondering, have you done anything, having the West Kingston Fire Department as part of, you know what I mean, not just Exeter and Richmond?
Sure. So West Kingston, and actually, because again, they're a volunteer department with South Kingston, the only issue that we would have with them is the fact that they'd have to traverse that wooden bridge that's right at the end of James Trail, crossing over, and I don't believe that that's weight rated.
There are other ways around
Yeah.
it, but yeah.
But under the circumstances, the closest departments would be Richmond, Carolina, and Exeter. So that would come in there. In fact, Station 62, which is off of Hoxie Road, again, is another unmanned station. But to stay and keep things factual, I only brought up the Exeter portion because I have not had the opportunity to speak with the command staff of either one of those departments. It's certainly not beyond the realm, but keep in mind, that's the fire district and the fire departments, if they're looking at increasing their response capabilities of reaching out to them. The chief made mention about tankers. When they put a call out for tankers, and chief, correct me if I'm wrong, is it still 14 tankers when the task force is activated?
And the task force that's activated is 30,000 gallons of water on wheels.
On wheels, okay.
I don't have the total head count.
All right, so 30,000 gallons, even if you were to divide that up between 10 trucks, that's 10 trucks coming in that have nowhere to turn around. So that's 10 trucks that are literally lining up on the road, trying to figure out ways to back into driveways and come down. And unfortunately, there was a pretty serious fire on Glen Rock, where even though and that was on the South Kingston side of the line, there was still accessibility issues as far as getting those trucks through that area. So I went one step further, and again, I could dazzle you with pictures all day long. We can prove the facts. And I don't think there's anybody in this room that will dispute the fact that by opening that up, by providing access, that we're able to provide better services. And one of the things I wanted to comment on, Commissioner Slater bringing to my attention, I had the chance to speak with Ocean State Transit. They were absolutely thrilled when they learned about this opening, because what ended up occurring is that this is the bus route going into Gardner Road to pick up those students. There are 44 students on both sections of Gardner Road that get picked up. When a person gets on the road right over here at New London Turnpike and Ten Rod Road to go to school at 7:30 in the morning, they will not arrive until 8:30 because they've got to go through and follow this route, which brings it down first to the upper section. They turn around at Camelot, then go back down through Mail Road, Glen Rock, through South Kingston, back up to the lower section, and then reversing their route through. So when I asked about that, and what I did not and was not able to find out or determine, I heard rumors, again, allegations of a special school bus that was purchased just to make that travel route, a shorter bus. That is still a full bus, but the point that the driver is that I had spoken to is that no less than 4 times on that route, twice a day, they have to turn that bus around in order to come back through that route. This will be more cost effective for them. They'll get the students to the school quicker, and it'll be an overall savings, and they were quick to say to the district. Now, again, we cannot, this does not mean, are we gonna see a reduction in the school department, or the school district budget? No, it just means that there's going to be a recognized saving as a result of this. Now, we throw away not one gate, but 2 gates. It's not, if you're on that south section, and you're waiting for a fire truck to show up, and even if we had reduced that time by a minute or 2 minutes, so we'll say, we'll use a 2-minute figure because that was brought up. If we reduce that by 2 minutes, it will take that and some to pull the air brakes on a 30-ton vehicle, get out of that truck, if that person has a full crew of people. Take care of opening that gate. He's not gonna go back and close it. He's gonna continue on to the emergency, stop again, open up that gate, and you're the person on the other side waiting for that emergency responder. There's going to be an issue. But here's and just let me just bring up one other point, and I'll let you speak to it. None of our fire stations are manned, so a lot of our volunteers would be responding in personal vehicles. They may not have access to keys and or combinations to those locks. And if we start passing out keys and then locks are cut, we're going to have issues. Now, I was going to speak to an issue here that we had in town last summer at Yahoo Tower that unfortunately involved a tragic incident, but I found out that the gate in that particular instance had worked, but it wasn't going to change the outcome. I was personally involved in a search that just ended this evening in West Greenwich. And most of the ATVs that were brought in from out of town were all impeded by DEM gates due to the fact that the National Guard trained in Big River, they cut all the locks and put their own locks back on there without giving the keys to any of the 10 response agencies. Not even the fire chiefs, 10 response agencies between West Greenwich, Exeter, that respond there. And I have not been able to confirm this information with East Greenwich to find out if they have access from the Middle Road side, but the gates themselves on paper seem to be a good idea. I've had a chance to travel the road. I unfortunately was almost involved in an accident up there the day I went up there. A four-wheeler came whipping out of a piece of property, almost hit the side of my vehicle, and was driving up and down the road. But that was really about it. And I stayed up there for about 2 hours. And I did count 4 cars that went through. But because of the gravel, they were traveling the speed limit. I can't speak to what the traffic is going to look like. I'm not an expert in travel by any stretch of the imagination and wouldn't profess to be. But the overall mission here was to ensure that the people on Gardner Road receive the same services that the people anywhere else in this town receive for the taxes that they paid. So with that being said, I didn't know if anyone had any questions regarding the information I had. Yes?
Can I just speak quickly? Here's my concern. We've indicated that we probably, at least 2 members of the council, want to move this discussion ahead to our next meeting. So my question, and thank you for all that you've told us, but given what we've heard from the solicitor, can you, if we do this, can you come back? Because if 2 other councilmen need to listen to
Yes.
what you've told us, would you come back? Because I'm listening to you, make the case.
Certainly, and I understand. And I
And
certainly
my concern is that
understand.
we let you continue to back and forth if we're not gonna move on the gate issue tonight.
Certainly, but I think that the
And I'm not
importance
trying to
of,
shut you
Oh,
off or
absolutely not.
discourage you.
but.
I want you to
yeah.
say you'll come back.
Oh, no, I will, I absolutely will, but Mr. Ellis, I think the problem is that, understanding both sides of the issue, I don't think enough factual information is coming up, and that's what I wanna make sure that we're clear about. that we put a lot of thought into this process. And I sat and spoken with the Director of Public Works and a lot of people in the area, and I wish we could pack the hall with every resident that was here. But like I said, I just want to make sure the right information is out there, good, bad, or indifferent. Ms. Hartman, and
Mine was just why 2 gates, that's all I wanna know, why 2?
I-
And is the road,
No,
maybe this is for the council, but is the road gonna remain dirt? Or you have plans on paving it?
Right now, we have no plans on paving it.
I'm just asking.
Yep, so
And why 2 gates?
that's what we were told that the option was gonna be, Steve, you have any more insight on
Because the
that?
Camelot wants no traffic going out the lower section, so you'd have to put it back the way it used to be. The gate below and a gate above. So the gate would be up by Webb's driveway and one down lower Camelot, lower Camelot.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because the last thing I want to bring up as well, at the very least, we found out that there was an elderly gentleman that lived on, a Richmond resident that lived on the upper section, that's a Richmond resident, and yet they were on an Exeter Run card, which meant that they dialed 911. We were the ones to respond. There was no record that that would ever occur, so in a sense, without anyone knowing, and it just fell through the cracks. There was an address that had been recorded, but yet nobody would have known where it was. And driving down to this particular person's house, it was so overgrown that the area could have been missed easily. And if anybody has GPS units here, or GPS handhelds that go into that area, Garmin doesn't even know what side of the road that you're on. And that promulgated a lot of our newer drivers in all the surrounding communities not being able to know which section they were coming in on. It's tough. We're losing people, we're trying to retrain them. We just want to get the right information out there accordingly. So that's all I want to say regarding it. If anybody has any issues or questions, I will certainly make myself available at the next meeting. I'm very passionate about this project. I want to see it move forward. I firmly believe that this has been a positive step for not only both communities, but for public safety and emergency management as a whole for the community.
Thanks, Stefan.
Look,
Well, like I said earlier, my feeling is continue it until next month when Kevin McDowell and Ray Morrissey can be here. Is that something we need to vote on, Jim, to continue?
Before you do, I mean, we talk about research and time spent. I just wanted to give you, I know there's been a lot of discussion about the road and whether it was open or closed or not. And so may I just give you, I did my own little research, if you will. And I'd just like to read this for the benefit of anyone who may hear it. I'll repeat it next month. At the request of Councilman Ellis, I make the following statement of facts. While serving as the Town of Exeter Highway Supervisor from the mid-1960s through 1986, I can attest that the section of Gardner Road recently reopened to traffic was open for use until the late 1970s. That was signed by Charles Green and dated July 25th. I've heard this. I mean, I've lived here forever, but not where you live, young lady, but in town. And I've heard stories, and I've heard from people who traverse that section. And we were told last month in public comment, it's never been open since the early 1800s. So I have heard other stories, and so I thought I would ask the person who served for years as highway supervisor, and you know, sure enough, and didn't you just say when you first moved there, people could?
You could travel, it's pretty rough, but you could
Well, I
travel.
don't think it was the way, I've driven it. and
It's always on this way now.
I think the way your department has handled it is pretty amazing. And then I understand if it promotes high speed. I hope it doesn't, because I should hope people would be responsible enough on a country road like so many others in this town, because we have 100 miles of roads, some of which are similar. The young lady's shaking her head, so I assume you mean that people are now speeding up and
James
down the
Trail
road.
and Glen Rock are highways. They're not back roads, they're highways.
All the roads are highways in this town, because we have
Well-
no police.
Okay, I've grown up here, and so, you know, I've lived here forever, and most of the roads I used to traverse as a kid were dirt. Now they're not, and I guess the traffic moves a lot faster all over town. So, for reasons that Stefan just articulated, I don't think that it's a good idea, but we're not gonna address that tonight. I guess we're gonna move that forward to next month.
Okay, so I guess I gotta make a motion to continue Gardner Road until next month's meeting.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No,
You're opposed?
I'm opposed to continue it.
Oh,
We have the
okay.
information on
Let's do
the,
one, okay.
no, on continuing it. We have the information regarding the cost of the gate, and, but hopefully people with concerns will.
My question for the town clerk, seeing as Jim said, anybody that wants to speak again would have to come next month. Is it possible to contact the people on Garden Road and let them know? Is that?
I think it's the right thing to do.
Send a letter to everybody.
Probably send one, if you sent one to, the town clerk, she could take care of the vehicle thing. That's a thought. So, to be fair to everybody,
Not,
I'll take one more question.
I'm just saying, not everyone that lives on Gardner Road lives in Exeter. There are
No, I know, one
Richmond
half
and
is
South
Richmond, one is
Kingstown.
Exeter, so,
And South Kingstown. I live in West Kingston,
at the very end.
at the, yeah, but I still count.
I got a question about venue. If you do this with the letter, which is a great idea, this venue will not
Not
be
gonna work.
appropriate.
Is venue appropriate?
63.
Oh, no,
No,
there'll be
no.
a lot
No,
more
no,
people
no.
who
We
show
We
up
went
on
to, we
chairs.
went to the one in Richmond, I mean, they, in
Packed,
their areas.
overflowed.
Or you're saying is this?
The room.
this-
The room is not gonna
It's
make
not
it.
gonna
I'm
work.
sorry.
Yeah,
When
it's
someone
not
says
big
venue,
enough.
I'd think a different.
It's not big
enough. Just in case, so, I mean, in all fairness, so, because it's been a controversial subject since day one, so.
I just think as a town council at this point with the emergency management end of it, it just should show a liability of the town and it even consider the gate.
I know when I was down at the Richmond Town Hall and the approvals,
Well,
Camelot called for a gate at that one intersection.
That's on their end, that's nothing to do with us. And so you have we have as a group, all came and took our time to come here. Stefan's done all his homework. I think there's enough literature and homework to make a decision and be done with it. I think you're asking us to come all back on
Well,
another
we've
time.
already voted to continue it, so.
That's just my opinion. Return everybody's time around again.
Okay.
Is this the president, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
I agree to a certain extent to what Calvin says, and I appreciate everybody that showed up here tonight. But just because we're continuing doesn't mean that we're gonna continue to discuss the gate. I think there's some other issues that we need to discuss on this road, so it's an issue that should stay on the agenda. I mean, I think Stefan's presentation gave us enough evidence to show that gates may not be a very good idea at this point. But that doesn't mean that this still doesn't continue to be, continue to be on the budget, on the agenda in upcoming months to discuss some of the other questions that have come up.
Yep.
So I don't think we're continuing it just the next month, just to discuss whether or not we're gonna put a gate in. I think that should be clarified.
Well, that's what I mean, there's two members absent, so
Right.
they have to say. That's my feeling. In fact, Ray and Kevin have been involved since Steven started opening the road, so.
Right. If I can just, once again, clarify, I mean, there are two separate items, as Cal pointed out on the agenda, that have to do with it. One of them is an open-ended Gardner Road subject where any issue that is of importance, I think, concerning Gardner Road can be discussed. The other one is the gate issue, and my guess is that the vote was to continue both of those items until next month.
Yes, yep.
So I think
That would be H.
yeah, so H and I are both continued, so it's the same, it will be the same ground rules
Okay.
that you have
Could you
tonight.
announce what the other issues are?
You're gonna continue each.
It's simply
You want-
Gardner Road, so if there are any issues that the public wishes to discuss that evening about Gardner Road, and the president thinks that it's an appropriate issue, then it can be addressed.
I know that he spoke of other issues, and I'm just curious, he must already know what other issues are. I was just curious so we could know what the other issues are for next month.
Well, I think, I reiterate the president's comment, that I think we've got two other council members here that have.
No, no, I'm not
had
worried about the next
good-
month, I'm asking what the other issues are, not the next month.
Well, I don't really have any other issues, but I would not be surprised if the two other council members have had issues.
Okay.
I've been attending the council meetings ever since last fall, when I wasn't on the council, when there was a lot of debate and discussion by the residents as to whether or not to even open the road or not. Now, it's already open. Now, I've seen enough evidence tonight to know that moving forward with the gate may or may not be a good idea. But I think that decision should be made by the full council, not 3 members.
No, I was asking that, I was just asking what the other issue was.
Well, the other issue, introduction, consideration, possible action, proposed amendments, Exeter Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, streets, sidewalks, and other public places. Article 2, Streets, Division 3, Official Street Map, Section 38-106, buildings not on that
Okay.
streets, which basically, right now, it's on an abandoned road list.
No,
correct?
not abandoned. It's on an unmaintained list.
It's a what?
Unmaintained.
Unmaintained.
It's always been a town road, it's just on an unmaintained list. What that does is take it
It
off
makes
the
it off
unmaintained
that,
list,
makes it
puts it
maintained.
on the maintained list.
Okay, so that will be continued to next month also.
Because it is now currently a maintained road.
Can I make a motion to continue that one?
You want me to redo my
No,
motion?
just make a motion to
Okay.
continue that one.
I'll make a motion to postpone item H under new business till next month in regards to Gardner Road. Is that covered? That'll work. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Excuse me,
Go ahead,
discussion.
Carol.
Just FYI, people, yes, it's correct, there's been an awful lot of discussion of this. And it speaks to this particular issue too, of maintaining a section of road that hasn't been maintained. Last spring, as we developed a budget, one of the items on our capital improvements budget section was money to be spent on Gardner Road. We all addressed it as a council. There was discussion then, we went forward, we brought it to the financial town meeting. I know the West Kingston folks weren't there, but of course you wouldn't be, but there was no discussion, it went forward, it was part of a package of work that was to be done, which we'd addressed, which Steve had brought to our attention. He wanted some money to be able to do, I think, what you've been doing there, if I understand correctly. So it's not that this happened in a vacuum. We talked of it, we moved it forward. That's where it is now. As far as Stefan's presentation, he's speaking about it's so good that it's open. I think his implication is he doesn't want to see any obstruction. I'm pretty sure that's what you were talking about. And I hate to think of school buses having to stop and open a gate, but that's enough. Okay, we're gonna talk about that next
Okay.
month, sorry.
Now, anyway, there's a motion on the floor and a second, Calvin. We had discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Oh, what the hell, no. It's okay, it's not going
Okay,
anywhere.
all right.
Sorry.
All right, we're all done with Gardner Road, so let's
One
go.
more thing. Am I doing this letter now to Gardner Road residents?
As controversial as I don't think so. Yeah. It probably just
Do you
said.
need a motion for that?
Probably as a matter of,
They didn't send one for this meeting.
What's that?
You didn't send one for this meeting, why would you
That's
send
why
one for
there's
next
nobody
one?
here.
it's,
But
If
it obviously came out because we're here. You know what I
it's a
mean?
prerogative
Well,
of
someone
the
read the agenda for once.
council, if the council wishes further notice to go out, it's up to the council, but it's not a requirement, other than the typical posting, so that's your prerogative. Doesn't matter, I'm fine, I got a jacket. Either way, I'm good.
But we have to know if we have it there or haven't.
We send a letter.
It's getting
Better safe than sorry. Okay.
out of here.
Okay, discussion on a letter. If we send a letter, there's the concern that we might not have enough capacity in this room. And if we do send a letter, should we go ahead and schedule the next council meeting with the Metcalf cafeteria just in case?
Personally, I don't think that the letter's necessary.
Okay.
I mean, in past months, going back to when this originally came on the agenda, people read the agenda and showed up on their own, and
Okay.
when those people showed up, it seemed to be enough of a venue.
Okay.
So I don't think sending a letter is necessary myself.
Calvin?
Could I just echo Councilman Ma's comments?
We won't send a letter.
I would suggest you call neighbors.
We'll have it
if
here,
you-
so we'll make it sweet.
If you think people should come out and talk about this, call your neighbor.
I mean, this has been on the agenda for how long now?
Actually, this is the first time we put it on, we put it back on the agenda for this month, so that was a discussion
It
last
comes and
month.
goes. It's been on, it's been on.
Okay, so are we all set with Gardner Road for now? Back to new business. A, personnel issues, labor negotiations, nothing?
I did see Arthur Jordan building today, and he said, well, he said, this is happy land, everybody's fine, just not for the record, that's just.
B, introduction, consideration, possible action, agreement for payment in lieu of taxes for personal property between Town of Exeter and Solstice Investments LP.
Here comes
Here
Miss
comes
Carey.
Kerry.
Here comes Miss Carey, who's been working with us. No, it's not, it's not. Okay, come on, Miss Carey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay, so, this was the final version of the pilot agreement. Once executed, this will allow the renewable energy project under to conform with the newly enacted legislation, of $5 per kilowatt for personal property.
Well, I mean, just for discussion, I'm going to move that we accept the, ratify the agreement that a tax assessor has created with the party in question here, Solstice Investment LP. So we can have discussion of this agreement. Hopefully there's a second.
I'll second.
And Kerry, just for the record, it seems that this represents a number of months that you've been back and forth, not only with the company, but with our solicitor, correct, Jim? So that you feel comfortable with it where it is now, and then we'll receive a payment up to 20 years, did you say?
Yes, it's 20 years.
I got one question, Kerry.
Yes.
Is, these solar farms are just like the cell towers were in the 80s, the new gold rush.
Yeah.
It's a commodity, they trade and they sell. If they sell this to another company, do we have to redo
There
this?
is something in the agreement, that the new owners.
It would be, so it is gonna be like a deed, in the deed, it'll be marked.
You know, it's not gonna be a deed to this.
No, but this agreement would be attached to the deed right now? No, because they're leasing
No
that.
deed, personal property.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not under real estate. Real estate is owned by Exeter Land Development. So, again, if the personal property equipment is sold, the new owners will review this agreement as well.
So they'd have to come and do it all over again.
No, they wouldn't have to, it's already incorporated within this
Oh, okay.
agreement.
All right, that was my other question. Any questions, Frank?
Yes, sir.
We don't do a public hearing on this, we had it already. So, Calvin, you want to make a motion?
Sure, I move to approve the agreement between Town of Exeter and Solstice Investments LP regarding the payment of taxes and or pilot agreement. And second.
I'll second that.
Well, what happened?
We did it.
We already seconded it? Oh, yeah, we did it at the outset. Oh, yeah, we already did it. Right now we discussed, you call for the vote.
Oh, okay. Any discussion?
See?
Yeah, okay.
We did it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
strike that second motion. Yeah, we're just, we're just moving forward here,
Okay.
trying.
Next up,
Thank you.
C,
Don't go too far, Karen.
No, I.
introduction, consideration, possible action, proposed amendments to Exeter Code of Ordinances zoning appendix X, article 11, renewable energy section 11.2, wind energy conversation, could be conservation, conservation.
Conversion. Conversion.
Ah, okay. And zoning, appendix A, article 2, zoning district use regulations, section 2.4.1, use category number 79, wind energy conversion systems. Okay,
Okay, may I speak to this?
go right ahead.
Well, I mean, we all have looked at this piece, this proposal, and I had a conversation this morning with planner Ashley Sweet. And first I asked her if this was in essence, what's the genesis of this? Because I didn't remember, and I know you may have been sitting here, but this came up some time ago. This is in essence an original ordinance we had, but then the planning board has
Right now, we
reviewed it
still have
and
a
tweaked it.
moratorium.
We do have a moratorium. So what I suggested to her, because it's a step, it's a big step, I suggested that we postpone or table this discussion till September, when she'll be here, and she was very quick to say, did you want me to come tonight? I said, well, I'm not gonna ask, it's really not my place to ask you, but if we were to move forward on this in September, that would mean that we already have 2, if not 3, I think, when you said we have another public hearing scheduled on an entertainment. So that this could be 4, and I suggested we wait, there's a moratorium. I asked her if she felt it was urgent. She thought waiting was fine. She just wanted to get it to us so we know that the planning board has been working on it, and we've got something in front of us. So, that being said, I'm going to move to table this item to move it forward to the September agenda
Unfinished business?
under unfinished business.
I'll second that.
It gives us time to look at it, it gives you time to think, and then people will be here, she'll be here. We can ask her implications. Some of the planning board, I'm sure, is gonna be here too for other issues we're addressing. It made sense to me, so that's why I made that motion. Do you second?
I second it. Discussion?
Good idea.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item D, Department of Emergency Management. Request to go out to bid, emergency backup generator. Stefan disappeared, but I did talk to him.
You did.
What this is, this is for a replacement generator for next door at the ambulance building. We do not own the building, but the way the government grant works, the town has to, it's no cost to the taxpayer, it's a government grant. It has to go through the town of Exeter, and the grant is from FEMA. So, like I said, I just verified my facts with Stefan before the meeting. And I do want to make the public aware, the fire district lets us use the vacant state police office over there for Stefan, so he uses that building quite a bit. And also, in case of emergency, that is our emergency management center. And I do know, I'm trying to remember when, was that 2 years ago during the storm? That generator died over there, he had to go to West
They
Greenwich.
went to West Greenwich.
I need a motion.
I will move that we go out to bid for an emergency backup generator per the specs that have been provided to us by EMA Director Stefan Kulikis.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up is Department of Public Works. We already got by you, Stefan.
Just voted you to move to bid
So,
for the generator.
No problem, thank you.
Oh, good.
next up, E, Department of Public Works awarding a bid, salt shed concrete work. How many bids did you get, Steve?
Two, one from Heritage and one from Cotton.
The,
Heritage was the low
okay, the
bidder.
Ford truck, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Heritage was the low bidder. And had all
Heritage
the
Concrete of Exeter, Rhode Island was the low bidder. Let's see, concrete per yard, $99.50. The concrete per yard, 114.50 cents per yard was at 4,000 PSI. Full blocks, $40 a piece, half block, 25 a piece, cap block, 25 a piece. The Public Works recommends Heritage for the bid. Any motions?
Based on the recommendation of Director Matchtek, I move that we award the bid to Heritage Concrete for the salt shed concrete, item 9A.
I'll second. Discussion? Question, Frank?
Just out of curiosity, you'll have to excuse my ignorance on this, but on the precast concrete blocks, why does Cardi say not applicable?
They don't make them. They bid the poured concrete. They didn't bid the blocks.
Okay.
They don't have the style blocks that interlock. They do make concrete blocks, but they don't make the ones that we require.
They make
for
the
the
other
structural.
ones.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, Department of Public Works awarded a bid cabin chassis with plow. Public Works Department, this is for, what's this for, an F-550?
It's a 550 with snow plow and a central hydraulics.
It is, okay. I did notice there was a company way out of Massachusetts with
Right.
$700 cheaper.
They were $400 cheaper, but they were bidding electric controls for the plow.
Well, my feeling is Flood Ford is right up the road.
Well, my concern is one of them is the distance we would have to travel. It's that $400, you're gonna throw away the first, we go to the
First time
second.
you go for a warranty work, so.
Right, and so it's, you know, they built, the Jana, the hydraulic company that's in with Flood, on their bid, built our previous two trucks.
Yeah.
So they're aware, they'll be the same, they do good quality work. And the other company in Mass, we're trying to use electric components instead of hydraulic for the controller for the plow. They want to use a pendant, or what they call a fish stick, and lays on the seat, and it's gonna get destroyed, and it's not durable for our work. So, they did not follow the specifications.
$575 to replace, so.
Yes, they're not, yeah, I do actually look at that, because I've never ran them, I've seen them. We run all independent controls with cable, craft cable, and the longevity on them is unbelievable. And I don't like something floating around in the cab.
You want to make that motion or what?
I'll make the motion to award the cabin chassis bid to Flood Ford for $60,374.00.
Second.
Second?
Any discussion?
Thank you, Steve, for reviewing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, G, Department of Public Works, continuation of invitation to bid heating and cooling upgrades to Town Clerk's office building. No response?
Out of 5 or 6 that we talked with and met with,
No response.
0 response. I know it's their busiest time, so I'll cut them that little bit of slack, but they didn't, not one responded with a bid, with a sealed bid. We did get some quotes, but they did not respond with a sealed bid. So it just, we can continue it, and maybe we'll get into a little less busy of their season. But I did not put a timeline in it, so it's not like I needed it done right away. This can take all winter. You know, they can do it, and we're willing to work it out with them. It's just, we didn't receive a bid, and we contacted quite a few of the
And I'm assuming that.
local
given it's-
and as far away as the city.
It involves air conditioning as well. And
AC and
as you said, it's the busy that they're doing all over the place.
Right, it's a combination control unit, so it's AC and heat.
Well, I would move that we continue to, what would be the appropriate, continue to post, continue to seek bids or
Continue.
whatever, continue till you go out for bids or continue.
It would
whatever.
close it, I think, the 25th of August,
Give them another month.
this time.
So we'll,
So we'll give them a chance to contact them again and ask if they will or
you know,
interested in sending a bid. They have to be sealed bids, that's the important part of that.
They may not have understood that, they probably figured, well, you got our quote.
right, right. Well, I think that hopefully my motion is sufficient to move forward.
I'll second it. I have a question on this.
Discussions?
Steve, do you think that was more of a, would we be better off applying a timeline to it? Because if they're both heating and air conditioning that they specialize in, and right now they're busy because it's seasonal with AC, they're gonna be just as busy come the winter time with heating.
They're a little less busy with the heating because it's a supplemental heat that we're talking about. It's not our, we do have heat, and that's still gonna be used. This is supplemental for, because this building, the way it's all broke up, the airflow is terrible. So the town sergeant's office is freezing, even when the heat's on. So that's why it's realistically only supplemental heat, that you'll be able to just put it on heat, it's what they call a heat pump. It just blows a little warm air and then it shuts off. And so it's not actual heat, it's just supplemental to this existing system.
I should have clarified my question. I didn't mean so much our needs as for what their business.
I just need to explain it to
So in
them
other
a
words,
little bit.
are they gonna be just as busy in the heating months as
Not-
they are in the air
Not
conditioning months?
as, because the primary need we have is the AC. That's the primary, that's what the units are designed specifically to do, and the heat is an extra. So they'll be a little less busy in the winter time, as long as you catch them prior to people getting their returns in taxes, because they get really busy right after that, in the spring. So I think it just that, with the companies that came in were excited, they wanted to do it. Well, yep, send us the information, we did. It was in the paper. Unfortunately, a lot of companies don't get that paper, so our circulation is not broad. So we just mail them out, usually email, most of them, to different companies, and there's instructions in there that they have to have it back by a certain time, in a sealed envelope, stated whatever Lynn puts on it. And normally it works perfectly. Like we do it for the truck, we did it for cement, we do it for like numerous things. This particular, no response. I haven't had that problem. I've had one return sometimes, but never none.
But I'll bet if one of you makes a call.
It just needs to be explained a little differently.
Right.
Some of these companies are not accustomed to doing public bids.
No.
They're not. They're accustomed to working for a homeowner or a contractor, and they say, put the AC heat pumps throughout the whole, construction, whatever they're doing. And they just get paid. So they're not accustomed to having this
Or
extra
a
step.
commercial space, it's different.
We contacted the commercial companies and some.
No, but I mean here, we're
Even
different.
our existing AC people, we've contacted, and our plumbers. And one said that they could do it, but they're just too busy, which was Del Tufo, they're right here in town. And then one of those didn't respond at all, it actually does the AC work for the shelter. And that's.
So we don't have a specific vendor that takes
We
care of
have
every
Del
town
Tufo
building.
and we have Valley,
Yeah.
they're the two, because Del Tufo does the library and here. They haven't messed with the ACs much here. But Valley does most of our AC, small AC repairs, which are the single head or dual head central air units. So, depends on the system to who we call.
So as we continue to motion, we should take that into consideration, like you said about the tax rebate time? Because
Well,
after that period.
After that, they get real busy. So I just was hoping to do it this fall. Even on our timeline, we weren't gonna, I wasn't gonna rush them, whoever gets the bid. Fall's great. It's the perfect time for us to have it done. So
maybe we should consider adding that timeline, taking that into consideration.
Well, I can let them know.
Once that period comes and goes, then they're gonna be just as busy as they are now. And then you've got a whole nother year that's gone by that we haven't had to work on.
Steve seems to think you.
I think if we push them a little, I think we probably be able to.
Well, you know who we push, so.
Gonna try. I
Now, the one thing they have in favor is the town of Exeter pays their bills when they matter. So,
pretty good about it. Most vendors like us.
Right.
we have a motion. And a second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, H recovered, I recovered. Unfinished business, historic preservation, historic cemeteries. Request of Emergency Management Director, E. Stefan Kudalakis, approval of memorandum of understanding. Anything there, Stefan?
The contractor's out of the country, so I can't finish that, but I promise we'll get it off the agenda by next month. I want, because the rest of the communities have already signed up. We're the last holdout, so.
All right, sir. C, prison project.
I'm gonna give you a quick update because I spoke to the gentleman that came here, if you recall, to the prior council, Frank didn't have the benefit of his discussion. I asked him, I decided to call him and just ask status report, not for Exeter, but the project itself. He said, oh, it's just moving ahead very well. And I said, what about the so-called glitch that was thrown into the legislature? I believe it was union employees didn't like some of the language of the enabling legislation. And he said, no, that's fine. So I said, okay, well, that's good. And so he says things are moving fine. And I just wanted to tell you that, because having said that, I'm gonna move that we remove prison project from our agenda, because I don't see us participating anytime in the immediate future. And until we know everything is really moving the way it should, I would say, let's just take it off. So that's my motion.
I'll second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks for listening to it always, and maybe it'll come back someday.
Okay. Department of Public Works request to extend bid asphalt / Carty Corporation. This was deadlocked last month.
Yeah, I'll just speak to it. I'm the one that suggested we revisit it. I'm not sure I should have, because maybe it's supposed to be someone who voted. No, I forgot, there's some protocol. But anyway, the point is, I spoke to Steve. I'm not sure it's even a moot, it might be a moot point. I don't even know if they would accept, given the plan extension. But I'll put it back out there. I know you gentlemen didn't want to do it last time, but I'll move that we consider the recommendation to award that bid for $61.25 per ton to the Carty Corporation.
That's a motion?
It
A
is.
second? Okay. No second? Okay. My feelings were on record last month about this, and when I think about it more, there were $306,000 the town budget after the school was roughly about $2.5 million for this in the town. We're talking a good hunk of our budget, so I'm gonna make a motion to go out to bid for asphalt for the 2017, 2018 fiscal year. Second discussion. Calvin?
Well, given my conversations with Steve and his representations to us last month, I'm gonna say no, because Steve doesn't feel we're gonna gain on this price, but it's 2-to-1, so that's where we're at.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No,
Okay. Next up, E, impact fee study. Did we cover that with the,
I think for the minutes, we should update the progress of it. for the
oh, that's
council
why
to
it's
keep
there?
track of it.
No.
At the last month, the council directed that the town planner and the planning board start drafting the specs for both the study and
for an RFP.
then the specs for the RFP for the study and also the ordinance. And Lynn wrote a letter to the planning board, the town planner dated July 27th, requesting such. So that should be in the minutes to keep track.
Yeah, we told them we'd like it by September, but quite a few things on our agenda for August, so we may not get it in September.
But then if it's here, it'll be good, because when September comes and someone will be here, it's good to keep it there. You know, it makes sense to say, okay, how we doing, get an update from them.
Yep.
Okay. Item F, introduction, consideration, possible action, of ordinance regulating certain secondary agricultural uses and activities, and we're going to continue that until next month. There's nothing new there yet.
Hopefully,
We need a vote on that.
Yeah, you should.
But that was a motion, so I need a second.
a second.
Discussion?
Mr. President, I could just update you. I did complete an ordinance in the event that the legislation passes to enable these secondary uses to be put on farms of 15 or more acres. However, that's just a work paper at this point. It's not necessary to bring it to the council yet. Ken's going to look it over as well, but I have included a working draft that will be ready to go in the event that legislation passes. Let me give it to you beforehand so you can look at it and be prepared for it if legislation in the state house passes the required. We will hit the ground running.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next up, reports of offices, boards, and committees. Public Works Department liaison. Steve, Ray's not here. Do you want to take care of the next three, A, B, and C, transfer station, animal control? Any updates?
We'll do Public Works. We'll be doing our crack sealing and chip sealing in the next several weeks. Most likely before Labor Day, but it still depends on the contractors coming due to weather. That chip sealers are a week behind. Crack seals, they're delayed because of paperwork on their end, but that's all straightened out as I heard today. So we should be moving forward with those two projects, their capital improvement projects. All the routine maintenance is being done. We finished the brush cutting townwide today, and we'll start a second pass on all the whatever's regrown that's on the gutter lines prior to a second pass in the fall for the winter months. So that's pretty much Public Works. Transfer station, things are running pretty well. Tippage is maintaining. They haven't had a lot of problems with, we had one resident that come in, went right by, dropped 2 couches and drove out. Didn't even have a sticker. They did get their license plate number though, so I do know who it is. So we'll be sending them a bill. For the couches and a sticker, if that's agreeable.
You can always give them the couches back.
Well, I can go find a couple, I'm sure. But yeah, that's what I plan to do. I just got the information a few minutes ago on who it is, so.
Is that something you'll work with the Madam
Well,
Clerk or someone to?
Yep, we'll work it out. It's really just send them a bill in the mail, I know who it is.
Mr. President, may I ask?
Oh, go right ahead.
Special question? Not that it's specifically related to the transfer station, but did you get any feedback with regards to how successful the Eco Depot was?
Very successful. We've already ball rolling for next year. We did better than we did the year before.
Well, I participated, and I brought a whole truckload of old chemicals, and I had a workshop.
The other way is for you.
But I think it was extremely successful this year because the Friends Group put it on their Facebook page for us. The library put it on the town's website, I believe, for us. So obviously it was in the paper as a press release, I believe, or something of that nature, an ad.
Well, Clean Harbors did a great job. They had
Yeah,
a
they've
lot
been,
of personnel, but wasn't a long wait.
no, they
very
run
efficient.
it very efficiently. They don't even want you to get out of your vehicle. They'd rather you
Right,
pop your
I
trunk
noticed that.
and go right through. They don't, that's what they like. And they were always good at, obviously, they're the cleanup people. And they do a good job with the staff members from the central landfill around the resource recovery.
It's great.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Has anybody ever approached you, and I don't think you could, it's not a space issue, about shredded?
We're gonna, next year, the plan is, we've already talked about this. We're gonna run dual operations, probably. We'll do the Eco Depot here, and we'll do a shred it and e-waste at the library at the same time. Run 2 events, electronic waste and shredding at one event, and the Eco Depot at this event here. And I think that's the best we can do. Because for a shredded event, we don't even have to incorporate, we can just use the grass area down below the library. It's not like we would be in their parking lot.
Anybody's ever go to the Cardi one?
A lot of people do, I seen it on the news.
I've been there, and I thought.
But that is the
I'll
plan
be
for
here
next year,
2
is to-
hours, and it really, they're so efficient, it was amazing how it moved.
They do limit you though on the shreddeds.
Well, I know it's a box, it's
To a
one
box.
box full of stuff, but anyway, it's helpful. Okay,
Animal shelter, things going pretty good as far as numbers are down. We got some kittens right now, but they're going very quickly. There's a lot of want there. The only bad thing down there is that an unfunded mandate has come down from the state as a new law that all the ACOs, and I did warn the council about this, I think, in budget time. All ACOs now have to be certified, national. The training is a 3-section training, so it's A, B, and C. Each one is $699 each, times 3 per individual, which is B4. So, I mean, we don't all have to do it at once, obviously. I'm gonna try and stretch it out as long as the state will allow, in order to get everybody up to speed.
Is there a test associated with it?
Yes. And CEUs to maintain it later.
What if they fail?
Then they fail, you pay again.
So what does the certification involve?
All sorts of
Who's teaching this class at $6.99?
code red. What was it? I had brought it in. I didn't bring it tonight. I think it's $5.99 or $6.99.
$10 they're related to someone that introduced the bill.
Code red. Code red is given the class, which is a company out of Florida.
And where will these people have to go to?
They're gonna do it at the around SPCA. That's where the class is gonna be.
So you'll be paying employees to drive up there, sit there.
Get time. It's 40 hours each module.
Is there any other companies that teach that?
There's another company that teaches a version thereof that the state is supposed to be accepting. I'm waiting for that to come down
I
as
would wait for
proof.
that or an
Yeah.
online one, because.
No, there's nothing online currently. The only 2 that are out there, and the other one is a little cheaper. I think it's $4 something for that one, each module. You would save $300, I believe,
Can you
per.
make me a copy of that bill in the law?
I'll have to get, I received the info
I remember
from
hearing about it
upstate.
at the State House.
They've been trying to do this for quite a few years, probably even when Frank sat there, they tried this.
I think I recall.
And
It was
I
Senator,
finally,
in the Senate, it was Senator Miller and Senator
finally
Perry.
got it pushed through this,
Well, that explains it
Possibly
all.
also Senator Tassoni.
but yeah, that's gonna, it's gonna impact our budget.
Yeah.
It's a state law now. So, but we'll get you all the information. I was gonna do it, I just wanted to give you the info that I had right now, and it is now required, so.
Well, my feeling is I'll call them and tell them, you got a sole source supplier, something stinks, so.
Well, like I said, there is this second one, but I'm waiting to make sure that is a positive, not just
What's
hearsay.
the penalty?
Well, I don't know, I haven't read the,
I mean,
that would come from.
give me a copy of the bill and a copy of the law.
Right, so, I haven't received those, and I'm not even sure if they got them online yet. How long does it usually take, Frank, to get them
The
online?
bill will be there, that'll be,
Yeah, the best way to do it is look on that individual sponsors who typically sponsor bills of that nature. So I'll help you work on it if you want.
I know I can call up to
Yeah,
Joe's office.
well,
and
that's
he
what I
can
would have
send the
done. I
stuff
would have
down.
called my former chief of staff when I was up there, and she'd tell me in 5 seconds who it was. Because usually the people that are in the building know that. I suspect I know who it is.
You're probably correct.
But
They do a lot.
I can't
Every
be
year.
positive.
Every year they keep us on something else every year, we
Right.
know that. And they changed a lot of the rules and we have to adjust. But this is a financial adjustment. I knew it was coming, but we'll absorb it and we'll work around it, we'll get it done. But other than that, everything's pretty good down there.
Interesting.
we're good there. Is that Steve?
Yeah.
Frank, I'm sorry. Tax Collector Office Liaison Report, Frank Warner.
Yes. The memo that I received from Kim Robitaille, our tax collector, said total collections for the month of July were $1,070,011.54. All monies have been reported to the treasurer. The new DMV computers are up and running, but still going through a trial period to get out all the kinks. It remains to be seen how the new system will impact the town and motor vehicle collections. So the DMV is still requiring release from collectors before allowing registrations to be processed.
Okay. Next up, Frank. Exeter West Reading School District Liaison Report.
I don't have a specific report with regards to the school district. I have reached out to the superintendent again, but I haven't heard back from him, as well as one of our school committee members. So I can, hopefully when I get that report, I can forward it to all of you. Members of the
Summer's
council.
probably
I
everybody's
think
got it.
everybody's laying low in the middle of summer.
Right.
Well, I believe, the only thing I can tell is I know for a fact that the first day of school was the 29th of August.
Okay. Figure out maybe try to follow back to work. Next up, Tax Assessor's Office Liaison Report. Calvin.
Well, I am appreciative of our tax assessor sitting and being patient. So, Carrie has a few things, thumbnail sketch to tell us, not the least of which is about what the impact is of the automobile tax rollback, whatever we're gonna call it. So we don't have to start with that. If you wanna tell us about some of the other things, the reval and all of that.
Well, the reval's going smooth. We've got inquiries for the tax bills, they were recently sent out, but regarding the motor vehicle, tax bills.
You're gonna get right to it, aren't you, Carrie?
Yeah.
I know, it's all right.
Well, okay,
It's
so
good.
the state recently passed the, budget, which affected the motor vehicle tax bills that were sent in June. So, our tax administration support, they're in the process of creating a program that will comply with the law. So they run that utility and then process abatements, which would have to be approved. So,
You'd have to do an abatement for every motor vehicle.
right.
You know, yeah.
Yes,
It's not
because,
pretty.
right, and at the assessors meeting on Friday, it was chaotic. Everybody was in an uproar.
And this, from what I've read, there's not much of a savings for the southern towns.
No, so vehicles 15 years and older will be phased out completely. So there's no tax generated for 2002 vehicles going back. We give a $500 phase out credit on the motor vehicle tax. That's gonna go up to $1,000 on every vehicle's account.
Now, are we getting reimbursed by the state?
Yes, so,
Allegedly.
right, so within the legislation, they
Sooner or
the
later.
the Department of Revenue is now responsible to determine how much each city and town will get reimbursed on that schedule. So,
All this Mattiello gets reelected.
Can I want to jump in a minute because I spent a bit of time the other day, and once I got through with Carrie and she explained what they're gonna try to do and our vision is trying to help them get to a point where they won't necessarily have to do every individual's, you're preparing a letter, right, to let people know.
on my end, we'll send the letter, and then we'll give that to Kim, and Kim will have to individually go into each and every account, and if they paid, they would have to get checks issued back.
It's not gonna be good, and there are 9,000 vehicles here in town, and Kim told me today, well, I asked if you had had a chance to come in, but she said no, so I said, well, talk to me, let me tell you two, and anyone else who's
I
listening.
appreciate it.
No problem, because, well, here's the deal, she's telling people to, no, hold off on paying until we get your amended amount, so that she doesn't have to now issue an abatement
That's in
for every,
much more work.
and so many have already paid. Leasing companies have already sent the money in, so they all have to get over it, and so we're going to have a lot of work. And I don't mean to, you may have been, might mention this, but Kim said to me, and there's another issue coming up too, maybe, but the issue is, if we may need to call a special meeting before the end of this month to try to nip in the bud the due date for taxes, which is 1 through 15. Remember, our taxes are due September 1 to 15, to try to get something in place so that people that come in to pay, she can, for instance, if I come in on the 10th and say, I'm here to pay my motor vehicle bill, she'll say, well, you actually only owe us, if my bill was 200, she might say, you only actually owe, I'm throwing this out, $180, I'm throwing this out. So she doesn't have to go through the process of abating. You follow? So,
Some bills
What?
have been paid in full
Oh,
already,
many
so she's
have.
gonna have to deal with
and she's
that,
gonna have
but,
to deal with that.
make the
Yeah.
adjustments before the September, if we can have a special council meeting, we can make the adjustments before the September first due date, so she can go in the system and then apply the credits. Or
It's
check
very,
if
it's
necessary.
complicated.
Yeah.
And you know what the whole issue is? Pardon me for being very frank. This program should have been postponed until the next fiscal year so that everybody could have had it in place. And from what I'm told by Kim, collectors are all set it, assessors are all set it, and they will all just summarily ignore it
Right.
for the reason you just said.
Yep.
Okay? So, it's not a good
I've
picture.
been following it, his city was getting the biggest break.
Oh, gee, why am I not surprised? Anyway, Vision, Kim told me this, Carrie, told me this morning that there might be something ready by Wednesday. Then by now you probably know, because I moved down the hall and talked with Kim. She'd just gotten off the phone with Vision, and they said, no, it won't be ready Wednesday, but it's in the works. So Kim's suggestion was, as soon as we have that information, that we get Kevin or you or whoever's able to call a special meeting so that we can come and do this sometime in August. Now, what am I not saying?
Well, the issue with Vision as well is that they wanna send out the bills in other cities and towns that held their bills. So their priority right now is to get
Is
those
to
bills
get
out
those bills.
and then go to the cities and towns that have already issued their bills, run this utility, and then figure out the difference so we can then run reports to get abatements together.
You said it wouldn't be until like the 19th, because someone's on vacation, so
Yeah.
then we're down to the end of August
And
anyway.
I know.
And again, we waited to do
So are you getting
the,
any reimbursement from the state to remail everything?
we're gonna just mail out general abatement letters, so that would give their notice, but no.
But no, the answer
To
is
answer your
no.
question.
Don't
That's
expect,
a hunk of change.
don't expect anything
That's a
from
hunk of
anybody.
change. Well, this is right up there with the early voting, huh?
Right.
Printing the paper,
We're getting
the
hit every
stamps,
which
the
way.
envelopes,
Yeah.
the work.
And what I said to Kim was, I don't suppose it would do any, I knew the answer to the question. I don't suppose it would do any good for us to offer you some kind of temporary help for the 9,000, maybe as much as account you're gonna have to go through, because you're gonna have to, no, the answer is no. I mean, she's gotta do it, hugely labor intensive, and that's, and then, you know, Maria will be there to do the routine anyway. It's not a good thing, just so you know, it's been a huge problem, and I didn't realize how huge until I came up here today.
And it's impossible for Vision on their end to create a program. I mean, the programmers looked into it, that they can automatically post these abatements, because you have to look into each individual account. There's no way to just do a mass
Do a
abatement
mass
on her end.
Anyway, stay tuned, because you're gonna hear more about this. Right?
Okay.
Right?
I'll be more involved with Kim.
No,
I'll try to
it's
get
not.
him once a
When
week.
you, if you're out in the house.
I appreciate you.
No, no, I
I've been
just
talking
have
to
to
him
be-
about it, and I've been meaning to do that.
It's all right, I just happen to be here.
Okay, we good there? Set?
So, I'll wait for Vision to see when they can run the utility, and then we'll get the abatements in order, and then we can hold a special meeting.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
coming out.
Sure.
Chin up.
Yeah.
This too shall pass,
Yeah, it will.
but not without a lot of angst.
Yes.
All right, Calvin, Exeter Job Corps Academy
Yeah,
liaison
simple,
report.
simple. I don't have any news from that.
Okay,
And if you want me to speak to the next
go
one,
right ahead.
we haven't met, and I'm now pretty concerned, and so for the moment, we haven't met. And I keep thinking, maybe after Labor Day, somebody's gonna light the fire. It's tough to get people together in the summer, but I have no report from them.
How long have you been?
Well, last May, I think we got together, but there were only two of us there, so it's supposed to be a rep. I mean, people didn't come for whatever reason, it's whatever. But let me tell you something, part of that, the biggest part of that, one of the biggest part, because it's regional planning, Ashley told me today that the planners have set up an informal once a month from South County to meet. And I said, is this valuable? And she, absolutely it is, for them to address planning, issues that are coming before them, where, they share concerns, and that's kind of where regional planning got launched years ago. So they're almost doing it on their own, which is too bad, but good.
It seems like a coincidence, but did it seem that the attendance seemed to drop off when Hopkinton no longer wanted to be a member?
Well, yeah, not initially, because everybody else was coming, but at the last election, only 2 of us were still sitting, and everybody else, all the same people weren't re-elected, or didn't run for re-election. So there's just 2 of us, and quite frankly, Jeff Broadhead, the executive director, approached me and said, Cal, you've been sitting here the longest. Would you consider if we are nominated to chair the Washington County Regional? I said, let me just tell you that. First I said, let me think. Then I said to him, you know what? Exeter is the least pivotal member. I mean, we have the smallest, we don't have the seashore, which concerns a lot of all those communities.
Right.
And honestly, I know I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that. And so the one that was chosen was Abel Collins from South Kingston. He's a nice young man. I actually put a call into him this week, but he didn't last week, but he didn't. So let's be patient, and it may, I don't know where it's going to go. But anyway, it is, because it could be good.
Next up, I, Public Safety Disaster Preparedness Committee, Town Sergeant, Town Constable Liaisons report. That's me. As I said last month, we had the hit and run where Sarah Baumforth was killed. The state police did make an arrest a couple days after that last meeting. And a couple days later, I noticed it on social media, and I called Lynn, and she had seen it also, where they were calling for a memorial service across the street here on Asa Davis's property. And I think me and Lynn had ESP. Our concern was with the amount of people showing up. What we needed someone getting hit walking in the road. Now, Stefan stepped up to the plate, and I'd like to let us, Stefan. With the report, estimated 550 people were in attendance at the service on July 21st, 2017. And I'll read some of Stefan's letter here. The entire community came together to support Sarah's family and friends. I want to recognize these local community services that provided their time and staff. Rhode Island State Police, Exeter Public Works, the Exeter Town Constables, Exeter Fire and Rescue, Exeter Town Hall staff, Rhode Island, what does DMAT stand for? Rhode Island
Disaster Management Assistance Team.
Okay. The West Greenwich EMA, the Exeter Chapel, and Asa Davis. And as Stefan had told me, I didn't make it that night. I had a problem at work and didn't get out for almost 8 o'clock. But I talked to him the next morning. There was not a single incident. Our parking lot was full. The library's lot was full. The chapel was full. People were on Widow Sweets Road, and like I said, not a single incident. So it was
A lot of people were out, so
yeah.
thank you for taking the time to do this letter and copying these people.
It was the least I could do. It was truly a community effort, and inadvertently, the animal control officer was left off that list. And
Okay, yeah.
I would like her to get recognition. I'll make sure she gets a copy of the letter as well. Everybody came, true sense of the word community. It was quite an event.
So I heard.
Thanks, Stefan.
I'm gonna, excuse me, but I just wanted, Sean, I know it's after the fact, but Sean, I just want to give you this letter. It's my copy, but you can just, it's not, there's no story probably to be done, but just so you know, just in case you hear things, it's good to have.
The next item is J, Exeter Rural Land Preservation Trust Committee Liaisons Report. I do not have anything to report this month. I was out of town the night they met. I do know they are working on laying the groundwork, getting this group up and running. And, I'll definitely make a meeting next month. K, Exeter Public Library Liaisons Report. That's Council President Kevin McGovern. He's on vacation tonight. L, North Kingston Preserve at Bowling Green's project, representative report, that's also Kevin McGovern. M, Town Council Assistance Report.
Nothing really. I just not wanted to mention that I saw the email from Ashley inviting the council to participate in the planning board, maybe sponsor an event with the Office of Energy Resources about solar workshops, technical assistance, the town with solar ordinance. So I didn't know if you wanted to follow up on that. What everybody
You
has.
could, no.
Well, it seems like they're gonna be part of the presentation already, right?
It sounded like they were already planning on
So
participating.
everybody has the email, right? It's been passed down, so.
Dan, before you move on, can I just go back and make a note under reports about, we were all noticed of the public hearing. Yeah, back on, under the report of, that Kevin couldn't make because he's not here. We've all been noticed about a public hearing on August 21st in North Kingstown. The compact village district ordinance is being, it's under discussion for some modifications, and it relates to, it's the initiative, the genesis comes from this Bowling Greens project. So just for the record, we were all noticed, I think, and Jim, you sent along to us that notice as well. So just for the record, to note that, please.
All right, next up, N, Solicitor's Report. Jim?
Just a brief update. You remember the Coleman case? That's the one with the lots split between Richmond and, South Kingstown and Exeter. That case was heard by Judge Gallo this month on cross motions, and the judge dismissed that case without prejudice. So that's a good result for the town. The Jerry's Farm matter is still in front of the Supreme Court. I thought by now we might have a scheduling notice from the Supreme Court, but we did not receive one yet, so my guess is that it'll be heard in the fall, maybe in the early part of the winter. But nothing other than that to report on that. And finally, the DEM case concerning Brownville Pond. You'll recall that at the last meeting, we filed our brief requesting an injunction pending the state coming to the towns for any necessary hearings and applications. That matter is scheduled for the end of September to be heard before Judge Leach in Providence, and he's set up a administrative conference, chambers conference, that's going to take place this Thursday. So typically at those, judge just asks what's the case about and talks about scheduling. So like I said, end of September we should have some more to report on that. Other than that, we're all set. I don't think anything to be heard on executive session, but I will add, I spoke with Cal just before the meeting about the executive session and some of the items that are on it. You may want to consider taking out of executive session the reference to Town of Exeter versus Richatelli. There's nothing active about that right now. Same thing with Sharp Farms, nothing active. Public safety issue, unless there's something that the council knows of. There's nothing that I know of that can be taken out, I believe, for now. Investigative proceedings regarding allegations of misconduct. Once again, you can review that. And also impact fees, there's nothing I know of. Nothing for tonight from me, but those items were generally kept on the agenda just in case something came up. But quite frankly, I think it's probably more appropriate that if something is coming up, I just notify Lynn, ask her to place it on the executive session, and the council should do the same, I think. rather than just continually having these things noticed as though there's something that's gonna be heard that definitely won't. So that's just my suggestion on that.
Well, thank you, Jim, and if I could follow then that suggestion with a motion, since these don't appear to be immediately, you know, as you pointed out, of great concern to us, I would move then that we remove items A, C,
Do you have to go?
E,
Executive session?
G, and I.
Yeah, just Al, I'd leave under A, just the general current future litigation.
Okay.
Reason
But-
being that
I got you.
quite often things come up right before the
The
meetings
A1.
where we
The
have to
A1.
discuss litigation.
Yep, that's what I meant to say.
So we can vote on that now, we don't have to vote in
Yes,
executive session,
that's
remove
correct.
the items.
That was mine.
Get a second.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
No, sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just shorten that up a bit.
I think Madam Clerk seemed to be
Yes.
nodding and smiling
Half a
when she
page.
heard that one. I think it's better. Someone asked me last week about an item here, and I said, no, it's not. And then I thought, well, but maybe it's best that they not be there since this is so public and people who look at it, you know, might say, well, what is it that they're doing, you know?
Good point.
So, anyway, that's,
Okay.
thank you.
Second?
Yes.
All right. Number 12, bills, appropriations, abatements. A, bill sheet. Motion to approve.
If you made it, I'll second it.
I'll make a motion to approve the
I'll
bill
second
sheet.
it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? B, tax assessors abatements. Motion to approve.
You want me to read the report, Mr. President?
Yeah, want to, Frank? Go ahead.
There were 3 different abatements totaling $180.33.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Tax
I'm
collector?
sorry.
What happened with tax assessor?
That was the tax assessor.
That was
wasn't it?
tax assessment.
Oh, no, because you called that
Tax
correct.
collector.
No, the tax assessor is the one that was.
Oh, Frank did the tax collector. I'm
That's
sorry.
correct.
Okay, all right. That was the tax collector we did.
So we voted to, we took it out of order. You want to go back and correct that?
All right, so.
You can just pretend we did it later. No.
Okay. B,
Poor Madam Clerk.
tax assessors abatements. Motion to approve.
Yeah, well, I'll move that we approve these abatements, a totaling $8,199.68. Most of them you see are motor vehicle issues, except for one, which notice it's a corrected bill. So we're abating, but it's going out as a bill to somebody else, so it's really not tax dollars lost.
That was my mistake. I shouldn't ask if you wanted to read the
No,
report.
well,
Okay, all right.
Getting a
so
little ahead of
I just
myself.
want
We
to.
got a motion? We
There
got,
was a
do
motion.
we have a second, Frank?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 13, other administrative
We
issues.
did the remittances, but did we do the abatements?
Yeah.
We did the abatements, not the remittances,
Right, that was
unless you
true.
want me to read the remittance
Well,
for the record.
So Frank on the 180, he made the motion, who seconded it?
I did.
All right.
Yes.
And then with regard to remittances, why did I make a motion that we remit a total of $135.91?
In two separate
Two separate accounts.
accounts, that's
Right.
correct.
Yeah.
You want to read it, Frank?
I believe Councilman Ellis has already.
Oh, okay, all
That
right.
should take care of it.
Okay, so,
$135.91.
all right, number 13, other administrative issues, anything?
I think
Yes,
we need
please.
We need a vote on that?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Vote on the minutes.
vote on the goods. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right.
I do have an administrative
Okay,
issue.
go right ahead.
And this comes from my meeting with Ashley this morning. And she has sent emails, but I looked and it seems it only went to Lynn and to me, because I was upstairs talking to her. I said, well, really, you should send it to Kevin, but she's not here. And it has to do with CDBG grants and the way that they're being processed. And what's happening is that, and this, I was in her office when she said, wait a minute, I'm getting an email, this is the planner from, I think it's Narragansett, if I remember correctly, because the CDBG grant applications that we submit, that all these, we're all being told, communities are being told that priority is going to be given to low, moderate income housing. So we're going through the application for funds. We haven't received any in the last couple of years. There's a concern here that, and this is what you're going to see, that there's a draft coming out from League of Cities and Towns, and they want action taken on this immediately. Well, she wrote back, I was there in her office, and said, this isn't on the agenda, we can't do this at Exeter, we don't have a town manager. So I said, well, this is what I'm gonna do under other administrative issues, because it involves our CDGB application, which we submit every year. I'm wondering if this letter objecting to the new method of funding that's gonna go to all these people, if we could possibly, it's not on the agenda, but authorize, because it's a seat relating to the CDBG application we already submitted, that it's a follow-up to that application. Could we direct either Kevin or Dan as vice president to sign any letter that comes through objecting to these new regulations? And specifically, here's the thing, state CDBG program changes to adversely impact municipalities. And this letter's been written, but there's a draft coming out from League of Cities and Towns for a collective objection. And they're eventually gonna ask cities and towns to sign on to this. I don't know why it has to be so quick, but neither did Ashley. But I'm just wondering if it could be that we could direct an objection to funding changes to be signed either by you or by Kevin. I think you're gonna be away next week, or Kevin's gonna be back or something.
No, I'm here.
Would this, because it's CDBG, I know, Jim, you're hesitant, but because it's not a new issue, it's relating to something we've already done, could we just say that it's, we're objecting to any changes? Because we've gone through the application, we've asked for money to different, like the warm shelter and all of those places that, help me out here.
Well, what I do is, what I think probably needs to, really a question of posting, but what you could do, Cal, given that action is required immediately, and there's some importance to it, could move to add it to the agenda now and then, I think, on an emergency basis.
Oh, like an
because
emergency.
I thought
about, I didn't want to do it at the beginning of the meeting, because then there was too much else going on. But if we could, I would like to, well, I wondered if you'd approve. I would move that we add this item to the agenda as an emergency item, because it affects our CDGB application and money that we made.
Well, it already sounds like you're going to find the money that was approved this year. You're not going to get it.
Well, it isn't going to probably make any difference, but the powers that be throughout, as I spoke, as we were in her office, she said, wait a minute, now I've got these responses coming in from other planners that say, no, this is wrong. And you're right, probably, Dan, it will serve no purpose but to go on record to say, wait a minute, this is not the process. We went through a public hearing, and we have all these agencies, the several, we can remember some of them, that we give, and they're funded in part by these CDBG funds from the various participating communities, and somewhere up above, single-handedly through the Rhode Island Office of Housing and Community Development, notifies us the following dramatic changes in our annual allocation process. And so I'm suggesting that we voice our opposition to the change.
The motion's to add it to the agenda as an emergency item
Yes.
and authorize Kevin
Kevin
or
or
Dan to sign.
Dan to sign a letter indicating our opposition to the change in funding strategy.
I'll
Did you
second.
capture that?
I'll second.
Funding strategy, and you'll,
Is that number?
no,
That's
no,
not- okay.
you don't have it here.
Okay.
It just came, in. Look, draft,
All right.
August 4th. Okay, it's been seconded. Sorry, but
Discussion?
So, Councilman, does that document outline the drastic changes that
Yeah,
are supposed to take
yeah.
effect?
No, well, yeah. Number one, no longer will public improvements such as streetscape improvements or social services programs such as adult education, ESL, education-related applications, were to be considered
They
funding
waste our time.
priority. Well, that's the point, and as Ashley said, we've gone through this 2 years, and I think we've received no funding, and, well, anyway, here's
That
the other
was my
one.
next question.
Future grant applications related to affordable housing will be given the highest priority to the detriment of all eligible categories of project funding, including community services that are provided collectively, like Peacedale, this stuff.
So we've never been a recipient of any funds
Yep.
anyway, right?
We were some years ago.
Some years ago.
Well, like the,
It's
You know
not-
what I'm
It's not
saying?
a lot of money.
it's not a lot, but it might be,
$30,000.
they what, please?
It's a little over 30,000.
For us, that we would get, which
That we'd
would,
give
which
out.
would be awarded to places like, I don't know, I keep together the Warm
There was
Center.
one shelter in Westerly.
Yeah, there's a women's resource, and there's,
You mentioned the place in Peacedale,
well, yeah.
Johnny Cake Center.
Well,
John
maybe,
Cage,
I think, and these people would apply, and we would give them some of our money, so would South Kingstown, or Hopkinton, and apparently that's all gonna go, so what these, well, as you said, it sounds like a fait accompli, so we don't have to spend any more time.
Offer that for part of the record, Cal, so, because
Of
it's,
course, with a reference that, League of Cities and Towns final is coming, because he's working on it.
So the motion on the floor is to write the letter of opposition
Or-
from the town of
Yeah,
Exeter?
well, to sign on.
Authorizing
to
Kevin
sign-
Kevin and myself.
Oh, to sign on what
it.
comes out of a collective agreement of, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Should you CC Jeff Marshall? since he's-
Yeah, he has been, yeah, that's what I asked Ashley, is he, does he know about this? And yeah, I mean, it's,
The League of Cities and Towns?
well, yeah, they're working on it now, it's like it was this, because this just came out, these new funding approaches, so right away, they're jumping onto
I
it.
think they'd be against it too, right?
They are.
Yeah.
They are, so they're drafting, somebody said, I don't know, somewhere I read, forgive me the typos or something, because I guess this planner in Narragansett did it, I think it's Narragansett, did it quickly and just, anyway, sorry, that's enough,
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
sorry.
Okay, next up is communications. And we had one to discuss, 4 has it, Calvin.
Okay, and you know what that is? I just want to ask Ken, because I didn't go try to find the budget, but you remember, you see how much money we're getting through from Exeter? Does that line up fairly well with what we had budgeted? Do you remember offhand?
Okay, I don't have it up. That's pretty cool.
See, Exeter, I was just curious, it says what Exeter was supposed to get here. Where is Exeter? There it is.
Yeah.
And that's what library is.
That
what
one
we
shouldn't
got.
change. It was the motor
And over
vehicle.
here, what's this? The excise tax reimbursement, 93. And what's this? Total appropriations to, well, what about other state? I thought we got other aid from some other things, but, well, like the hotel or the meal
That's
tax.
pass-through money,
That's not,
state aid.
that's not state aid, okay. Well, no, I was just curious. Don't worry about it. We'll
So
move
other
on.
than the schools, this is really, the state gives us $140,000 a year. almost to the point where we don't need them.
Didn't we make out better under the old budget with school aid?
I thought I heard an increase.
I don't remember, I'd have to go pull the file.
I think it is.
A little bit.
A little bit. I think it was a small increase, Dan. Which isn't listed here, is it?
No,
This is not school. Anyway, I was just curious. That's okay. Move on.
And 14, we covered.
Yes, we
15
did.
covered, and 26 we covered.
Yes, we did.
Well done.
Thank you. And you did, no, you didn't. You have something?
Nope.
Thank
We don't,
Bless you.
we don't, you got anything to say then?
you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
We don't need to go into executive session, we're all set there.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Did you want to say something?
that's a wrap.
Three words.
Yes, love that part of that.
Steve, I should have an